Have you ever been denied service at a business? What if you have a disability? Have you ever been denied service at a place of business? Under the Canadian Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms, you cannot be discriminated against because of a disability or based on how you deal with that disability. Now, on the program, we're going to welcome Stacy Bleeks, an Ottawa man whose family was refused entry to a hotel in Saint Jérôme because of his guide dog. Stacy, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Elias. Good to be with you.
Why don't you tell me about yourself and your family to start us off? What should our listeners know about you and your family?
All right. So, we're a pretty typical Canadian family. My wife, Catherine, my son, Teddy, who plays hockey, and my little daughter, Alice, who just loves life. And, of course, there's my guide dog, Keller, 5-year-old trained guide dog from Canadian Guide Dogs for the Blind. And we live in Ottawa. We traveled to my son's hockey tournament last week. We had reservations. Well, we thought we had reservations for 3 nights at the Comfort Inn in Saint Jérôme.
So you have reservations, Comfort Inn in Saint Jérôme. You show up for that 3-night reservation. What happens when you show up?
So we showed up around 9 o'clock or so, and we were looking forward to the trip very much. My little daughter was actually calling it our mini vacation, and we were really just looking forward to having a good time. And when we got there, went to check in, the front desk clerk started to take my name, but then she said, you can't stay here with your dog. My dog, Keller, has a professional guide dog for the blind, harness. So I said, just so you know, I very diplomatically explained she's a guide dog, and I have the required identification, and went to show her. But my daughter, is very helpful. Told me that she's shaking her head, no. And we've traveled coast to coast, and abroad, and never really had a situation like this. So it started to get ugly.
Yeah, and this is an important point, right? So you've gone to many hotels before. You've never had an issue like this. Have you ever even faced one question or asking you for documentation or anything like that? Or is this really a first here?
Occasionally they'll ask for documentation, but which you're always supposed to have with you, so we always do. But usually, we look, like we are, professional and clean and know what we're doing. So it's usually just a quick couple of questions and then no problem, if it ever gets to that.
And what was their rationale? What did they explain to you as the reason why they wouldn't allow your dog?
Well, the front desk clerk said no dogs. My wife and I both explained, this is not just any dog. This is a service dog, a guide dog for the blind. And, so we're in Saint Jérôme. So, I speak French. I explained it en français. Je suis aveugle, chien guide. And she was saying no dogs. So I said, can I speak with a manager or somebody just to explain our situation? There must be a policy. And so she did call somebody. This is taking quite a while, And so she was on the phone, and when she was talking to this person, I thought, this is my lifeline. Somebody here has got to know the legislation. It's been around since 1978. So I said, can I speak with that person? She handed me the phone. And the gentleman, I'm not sure if it was the owner or the manager, said, no dogs. And I explained that this is a guide dog. I have the ID. This hasn't happened before. I have my reservation for the next 3 nights. Yeah. My son is here for his hockey tournament. We need to sleep. You can look it up. This is a mistake. This is a mistake. He said, no mistake, no dogs. And so at this point, there was somebody else in the lobby was explaining to him, you need to let this person in. This is a human rights violation. Uh-huh. And then they said no. And so we called the police. Saint Jérôme police.
You call the police from outside the hotel.
Well, that's the thing. They were telling us, go outside. And then my daughter, we'd been traveling for quite some time. She needed to use the washroom. So my wife said, can we use the washroom? And the clerk said, to that question, go outside. Almost like treating my wife and daughter like dogs, because that's where dogs go outside, So I'm just thinking, I said to them, we'll wait inside. But then my wife said, we don't want to cause any trouble. Yeah. We waited outside for quite a while. The police called us back. Unfortunately, the first police officer, I say the first because the police did come up a little bit later in the weekend, but the first police officer said, after I told the story, yes, they are breaking the law. There's nothing I can do to enforce it.
Oh, boy.
So my wife wanted to go back home. I knew my son really wanted to be there for his tournament with his friends. I said, let's figure something else out. So we had nothing. There's nothing we could do there, So there was a hotel nearby. We went there. There was no room in that inn. So we looked at further down the highway. Another one. There was no vacancy. It was a busy weekend in Saint Jérôme because of this tournament.
The tournament, yeah.
We finally found a room down the highway at the Super 8. But my whole thought with this is, there's a human rights violation. If somebody shows up at a hotel and has to convince them, work hard to convince them that they need access because they're a person, a Canadian with a disability, and they won't let them in. This hotel is not abiding by the law. If a person has to stay somewhere else overnight, find somewhere else to stay, and continue to work hard to gain access to this hotel, the hotel is not abiding by the law.
And
the law
has
been broken.
And we all know this. Now, we're with Stacy Bleeks, is an Ottawa man, was denied service at a Comfort Inn in Saint Jérôme. He's telling us the story of being denied service because he was with his guide dog. I want to read you a statement here, Stacy, okay? Because we reached out to Choice Hotels Canada. That's the company that owns the brand Comfort Inn, okay? Here's what they sent us, right? They say, while it was an unfortunate misunderstanding, we can confirm that it was resolved quickly that same evening, and the guests did stay at the hotel as originally planned.
Oh my God! No, this is not true. This is not true. This is surprising, and you know what? The problem in part here is there's nothing that will stop them from doing this again because there's no consequence. It was not resolved that evening. To make matters worse, I ended up the next morning, thinking there's got to be something we can do. I'd looked up a few things online. The police are supposed to help. I thought, I'm going to call the police station back again, see if somebody else has a little bit more awareness, right? Yeah. Fair enough. So I spoke with an officer. She was very, very, good at thinking things through. She said, they have broken the law. I'm going to reach out to them. I will contact you soon. So about 15 minutes later, she called me back and said, I've spoken with them. They said that there was a mix-up last night. It wasn't, and that she said that she had explained things to them. She said, feel free to go back if there are any problems. She gave me her number and her badge, the number and badge number. Said, I will sort things out. So I felt good about that. And then I had got a message from the hotel saying, sorry about the mix-up. They kept calling it a mix-up.
Mix-up, yeah. Mix-up is like, we lost a reservation.
Yeah. Or sorry about the mix-up. There's no towels in your room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We needed a place to stay. We needed a place to use the washroom. And we needed accommodation. And it wasn't afforded to us. And so what I did is I took a picture of myself in front of the hotel and put it on social media saying, I can't believe this. Right now we're being refused accommodation. And that's where I got a lot of input from friends and family saying, you need to pursue this and not let this happen again. Because there are a lot of other people who are saying, this has happened to me. I never stood up. I wish I did. And so I really appreciate all the support from everybody, support from the media. But so in the message that they had sent me, the manager said, "We will give you a free night stay." So when we got to the check-in, it was the same manager, and I said, "I got your message." So I said, "About the free night stay, is that tonight or tomorrow night?" He said, "No, for last night."
Oh,
I said,
what?
Oh, for last night, the night that you did not even refuse us entry here. Well, I'm glad that night is for free.
Oh,
and
how generous! How generous of them.
Yeah. So
Hey,
I am.
Stacy, listen, I'm pressed for time here, okay?
Yeah.
But I just want to ask you to wrap up. Like, do you have any gut feeling, inclination as to what was going on here? Why you were denied entry? Is it just someone not knowing the laws, or do you think anything else is going on here?
I really don't know. All I know is we were refused entry. It was surprising, and I have no idea what their thought was, but they didn't listen to reason. The statement on their website says only Shi Mira guide dogs, but that's not the law. My dog is trained in Ontario.
That's right. Mira is a Quebec designation. That's the Quebec group that is. Yeah,
it's
the
school.
school.
So my dog was trained at a different school with the exact same accreditation.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
The next step is to sue the hotel, which means filing a complaint through Human Rights Tribunal, which we are proceeding with, because this is unacceptable.
Have you heard anything from like Choice Hotels? Has anyone from like senior leadership at the actual company reached out to you?
Good question. So that night, it was around midnight, I got an idea from my uncle saying, contact their customer service. It says 24 hours. So I called. It was a call center, and they said, I said, we need to get into this hotel, and the customer service person said, all I can do is create a ticket here. So I have the ticket, but nothing was done. I haven't heard back from them even about that.
Stacy, thanks for sharing your story with our listeners, and let's keep in touch, okay, if there's anything that comes out of this, okay?
Elias, thank you very much.
Stacy Bleeks from Ottawa, he and his family denied entry there at the Saint Jérôme Comfort Inn.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.